All right, Ulysses, we move along in our discussion of the 40-man roster decisions for the Rays. That'll be on today's episode. And a little preview for Friday. We've got a really fun mailbag episode scheduled. So stay tuned for today and tomorrow.
Yes, fun episodes ahead. If you haven't listened to the past two episodes, we suggest that you do so because they're just a continuation from this 40-man crunch Rule 5 draft conversation that we're having, and it's going to get tougher today. A lot of more complicated decisions that will have to be made. So grab your highlighters, grab your pens, paper, everything that you might need, and let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. So picking up where we left on yesterday's episode, we, as co-GMs here for the week, if you will, we've inserted Curtis Mead and Taj Bradley onto the 40-man, which, again, Rule 5 eligible prospects. That also means they have to be on the active roster for the entirety of the season, unless, I guess, if you really want to get creative and trade one or more of these Rule 5 eligible prospects, I guess that could also be true. That could technically be a strategy. Big picture here is, the Rays, they've got such a long list of candidates that they add like 7 Rule 5 eligible prospects with an intention to trade a slew of them.
Yeah, you could do that. You could also trade guys that are already on the 40-man and then to make space for these guys in the Rule 5. So there's a lot of complexity. So we're just, we're just picking a lane. Like we hear that a lot with bullpen usage now. It was his lane. So this is our lane of 40-man roster construction and Rule 5 draft eligibility. Like Kevin said, Mead and Bradley are in. Chagua and Bly Madris. We landed on that pronunciation. Bly Madris.
If we can't pronounce, and again, we've had our share of pronunciation issues with previous players, but if we can't pronounce his name or pick him out of a lineup, he's not going to be on the roster by this start of spring training 2023 for the Rays.
That's in the footnote of, when you like sign something, like you sign your life away of a 100-page document. That's on the footnote. If we can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry, you're out. Okay, let's keep going. I have a new name, Kevin. This guy, 24 years old. Let's see if this strikes you as good. 1.86 ERA in AAA, 2.02 FIP, 82 left on base percentage rate. I love that stat, 82%. And if that doesn't speak to you, how about a 10? The walk rate is a little bit high at 10%, but when you strike out at a 36% clip, perhaps that doesn't matter that much. Of course, I'm talking about Colby White. I believe he should be protected. He's coming out of Tommy John surgery. He missed all of the 2022 season. He should be back by June, early estimates. That, I believe, he was going to be an integral part of this year's bullpen already. And then Tommy John happened in spring training. I don't see how this guy isn't protected, knowing what he could possibly do for this bullpen.
So going back a little bit, you would be more comfortable with having a Colby White on the active roster as opposed to JT Chagua. I'm just kind of trying to
Yes.
walk through this. Okay.
Yes. I think the ceiling for Colby White is much higher than JT Chagua's
Yeah.
ceiling for sure. Yeah.
Because we are also trying to win ball games here.
Yes, we're trying to win ball games, but we are also friends of Stu. Okay, Stu employs us for these episodes, so we got to keep the budget under control here, fellas. Okay, we know what we're working with here. So Colby White is going to be cheaper than a JT Chagua.
That is true. And I will also add that the games count as much in April and May as they do in August, September as well. But I'm with you. I do think Colby White, there's been, just like with Taj Bradley and Curtis Mead, maybe not to that extent, but he's been a guy that's he's made a buzz about himself, for lack of a better term. And we know how the Rays love to throw out and incorporate different relievers. Now, the question is, I will, as co-GM, allow the addition of Colby White, but who are we removing from the roster in that case? I personally would, this name is staring at me in the face, Calvin Fauché.
Just to make it easy for everybody to follow along, pitcher for pitcher, sure. Let's do it. Calvin Fauché, your time has come. I'm sorry it didn't work out. I hope you have a great career, and maybe with the Rays after this 40-man roster crunch is over, maybe you don't have a team by February and we pick you up.
Yes.
But for now, apologies.
Yes. And let me go into my makeshift spreadsheet here and add Colby White and eliminate Calvin Fauché.
Yep.
And now, if there is going to be a fourth Rule 5 eligible prospect to be added to the 40-man, who will that be and who should that be? And this is where the exercise gets tougher. After Mead, Bradley, and White. Again, you could go with Edwards, you could go with Hunt, you could go with Hernandez, Basabe, Meisner, Jones, Wisely, Shitten, Witherspoon. We can go. There's other guys as well. There's Jose Lopez.
It's your turn.
Yeah. And again, might need some groupthink on this one, but
okay.
I'm going to make this relatively easy on myself here. And I need some time to think about it, which is why we're going to talk about Roan before we make this decision. Again, we want to be thorough with all this. And something that can help our decision-making and your decision-making, quite frankly, is the commuter shirt. The commuter shirt can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. And to do that, you head over to roan.com/lockedon. That's RHONE.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, one word, and use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to save 20% off your entire order. That, again, is 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/lockedon and use the promo code locked on. It is time to find your corner office comfort, and you can do that with the commuter shirt. In fact, if we were legitimately co-GMs in the Rays organization, I would make it one of my first directives to order commuter shirts for all the front office staff. Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable, I say. It'll make you more productive, and it'll make you feel much better about getting through that 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever it may be. To be honest, though, I mean, we work in professional sports, so we're working 12, 14, 16-hour days. So that's where the commuter shirt really comes in handy. So moving on here. As it stands right now, we've got 2 pitchers and one position player
Right.
from the Rule 5 list.
Yeah.
With that, am going to choose a position player.
Okay.
And there's a lot to choose from. And I'm trying to figure out who that next guy would be. And I might need some assistance on this.
That's fine. I've got the stats, baby.
Okay. I mean, are we going with your talent? Are we going with who's the most MLB ready? Is there a certain positional need more so than another?
I think all of those factors, Kevin, because what do you need for the MLB for the MLB team? Who is more likely to get taken out from a Rule 5 draft? Again, let's go back to the Rule 5 draft, like what it actually means. If they're selected people, they must remain in that other team's 26-man roster unless barring injury. So also, if you really like a prospect and they're very low in the ranks, like what are the likelihood that the Chicago White Sox are going to pick a high A+ prospect from the race? Like, are they really going to take that chance? Like, I don't think so. So you're maybe looking upper, but again, talent. If that guy is really talented and he's in high A just because of other circumstances, you might also want to protect him. Who knows? It's a combination.
Oh, this is tough. And I'm looking at the active roster. We've got, between catchers, infielders, outfielders. Well, maybe let me go with this a little bit backwards. Let me remove Luke Raley off the 40-man. So,
Sure.
All intents and purposes, replacing Luke Raley. I might need your help with this. I don't know who to go with.
I mean, I will look, just because you gave me an outfielder, I'm going to reply with an outfielder who hit 241, 340 on base, 40-46 slugging. So that's a 786 OPS, 10 home runs in 66 games. He's got pop. Yes. Okay, he's got pop. 25% strikeout rate might be a little bit high, but if you got pop, you are okay with that. 12% walk rate. I dig that. Friend of the program, Grant Witherspoon. Lefty bat too, by the way, just like Luke Raley. So you want to get rid of Luke Raley? Grant Witherspoon is right there. By the way, just one more thing. Tremendous defense. The highlight reel for Grant Witherspoon this year, I mean, it's really cool. And especially in those last two games, he came through clutch, not only with his plate discipline in the walks, but also with his glove work, diving plays to his left, to his right, to the fence. The kid can do it all.
I agree, and I am more excited about the prospect of Grant Witherspoon than I would be with Luke Raley. No disrespect. So that takes care of that. I guess, given some time to think here, again, I'm going to think backwards and work backwards. Okay. Do we remove Miles Mastrobuoni from the 40-man?
Not somebody I had in mind, but I will listen to your argument on who you would switch Miles Mastrobuoni for.
That's the thing, is these guys have been hyped up. You have Xavier Edwards, you have Greg Jones. I'm not Greg Jones, friend of the program, by the way. I think his tools are louder than Xavier Edwards, but Xavier Edwards may be more MLB ready, but I don't think Xavier Edwards is or will be an impact player either. Oh man, I'm trying to work through this here.
Can I give you a little comp so that we might just scratch out a player?
Yes, that would help.
Okay. Xavier Edwards, of course, comes in that San Diego trade, which famously Snell said what he said, and we all
And he's
know
not
that.
wrong. As of this recording, he is not wrong about that, quite frankly.
Well, that's my point with this, Kevin, is that, yes, he does have versatility. The switch hitting might kind of not work for him. He's actually, as a right-handed batter, he has an OPS of 759. With the other, when he's a left-handed batter, he's at 641. So
Right.
maybe just drop the one and keep the other. But I wanted to just kind of do a comparison with somebody that we know, and that's Taylor Walls. And I looked at Taylor Walls' AAA numbers, and I compared him to Xavier Edwards. Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think is Taylor Walls' OPS in AAA?
Probably
After seeing him in MLB, after seeing what he did in MLB, what do you think his OPS was in AAA?
I would say in AAA it was probably like 720, 710.
Okay. It was
Slightly over 700.
831.
Wow.
Taylor Walls, for those listening and watching and subscribing to YouTube, thank you very much. Taylor Walls had an 831 OPS in AAA. Xavier Edwards had a 678 OPS. And I'll go one more further.
Okay.
What do you think was Xavier Edwards' WRC plus in AAA?
70, 75.
Close enough. 84. He had an 84 WRC plus. Do you care to guess what Taylor Walls' WRC plus was in AAA?
Based on what you said earlier, I would say 108.
125 WRC plus for Taylor Walls. So we've all watched Taylor Walls in Major League Baseball and what he has done with the bat. Does he sound like a 125 WRC plus 831 OPS guy? We haven't seen that at all. So a guy that in AAA is 678 OPS and an 84 WRC plus, what can he do with MLB pitching? And again, everybody has different development curves and growth, and not everybody has to hit the same at different levels, all that. I think Xavier Edwards is actually younger than Taylor Walls by a couple years in AAA. So, all right. Having said that,
you know what? I'm gonna change course here completely. I'm not gonna add Greg Jones to the 40-man. I'm not going to add Xavier Edwards to the 40-man. And I did mention Miles Mastrobuoni, and yes, taking him off the 40-man. A guy who the numbers don't lie. And I know he wasn't he wasn't high on prospect list, or probably still isn't super high on prospect list, but production counts for something. Give him a shot. Brett Wisely, I'm adding him to the 40-man roster.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What he's done at each level, and I know he's struggled he played 5 games in AAA, but tore it up in AA. I mean, if we're just merit based on the field, I think you might have to give it to Brett Wisely in comparison to Xavier Edwards. Hey, we already got Vidal Brujan on the roster. Why do we need Xavier Edwards? Greg Jones, he's 23 going on 24, and he still hasn't gotten out of AA, and it's not like he's totally killing it and crushing it in AA, despite him maybe being the most athletic prospect in the Rays system. So I give it to pure ball player, Brett Wisely.
And again, we have to go back to that. What are the odds that another team is going to be like, hey, can you give me a guy in AAA who has a 678 OPS and an 84 WRC plus, but he's really good with the glove? Yeah, maybe the Los Angeles Angels, whatever they're called now, the Anaheim team, the Mike Trout team, there we go. yeah, maybe they do need some glove first guy, and they could keep an Xavier Edwards for the entirety of the year because they're like, look, we got the offense. We just need some help with the glove. Edwards can help us with that. Yeah, there is a chance of doing that. But again, I don't see from the offensive side a lot of teams lining up for these prospects that are not really producing with the bat. So you have to protect the ones that would be enticing for other teams. Hitting is enticing. Brett Weisley, I think that's not a bad pick at all.
Okay. So now it would be your turn technically to, well, I mean, you kind of made a previous pick for me because I couldn't decide on things, but I guess we have added 4. Is my math right here? We've added
Yes.
Mead, Bradley, White, and
Weisley.
Wisely. So what do you say? Room for one more Rule 5 ad?
Man, I had 2 more.
Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge. Let's hear those 2 names.
Actually, I had 3.
All right, let's hear those 3 names and see.
All right, so the first name I want to put out there is Jose Lopez. He's a reliever. Okay. He's in Double-A. 55 innings pitched, 260 ERA, 270 FIP, 39 strikeout rate. Hello, yes. Also, the walk rate is at 15. So, all right, don't be expecting everything. But he's 24 years old. This kid, I mean, I think there's something there that you could protect in the pitching side of things. So Jose Lopez would be one. My second name.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
So if we're eliminating Jose, or if we're adding Jose, or are we taking off the 40-man? Or do you want to mention the 3 names first and then go into that decision?
Yeah, let's mention the first 3 names and then go to
Fair enough.
So those are my 3 options because maybe you don't agree that all these 3 guys should be protected. So let me give you these 3. Maybe we can make it fun and you say only 1 or only 2 or the 3 of them. So that's my first guy, Jose Lopez. I think he's great. 75 left on base percentage. Like that could even increase with better information from the major league team. Okay, my second guy. I'm sorry, you might call me a little bit biased, but I'm going Blake Hunt.
Okay.
Blake Hunt, yes, the OPS is a little bit underneath 700, but he's a plus defensive catcher. Everybody raves about his leadership qualities and his framing job and the blocking that he does and the arm. And I mean, from everybody in Double-A has really good things to say about Blake Hunt defensively. He's 24 years old. We know catchers are going to have a bit of a trouble with the bat, with the offensiveness. And the Rays don't care usually about what you can do with the bat if you're behind the plate. They want to know how good you are with the pitching staff. That is actually a positive for Blake Hunt. So they're not really looking for his offensive stats. He was one of the guys that was Rule 5 eligible last year. But without the draft happening, he's kind of the backlog. So could he be a guy that is picked by other teams? Again, he's in Double-A, so he might not be very likable. Is not the adjective I'm looking for.
To be added to the active roster for another team.
Yes, without Triple-A, he might not be in teams' first options. My third guy. He is a little bit in the in the down. I think he just got to Double-A this year, at least a cup of coffee in Double-A. So I'm going behind my back on my first thing. Like, what is the likelihood that another team is going to pick the guy if they're so low? But the numbers, I was incredible. Like Ulises Basabe, like 9.3 walk rate, 9.7 strikeout rate. Are you serious? It's a wash. The walk to strikeout rate.
Yeah,
that's amazing. An 860 OPS, a 130 WRC plus. Are you bleeping me? I mean, what is this? I mean, no pop. Okay, literally no pop, no home runs. It's just extra base hits. But he does go 46% of the time oppo field. So this is a guy that knows the strike zone, has great plate coverage, and knows how to handle the bat. That is not the qualities that you could say about more than 3 guys in the active roster right now for
Right.
the Rays. So I know he's young. So the pop could come later, maybe not a lot, but he's 22 years old. So these aren't my 3 possible last additions. Jose Lopez, good reliever type in the back end of the bullpen. Ulises Basabe, no pop, but really good plate discipline so far. And third, Blake Hunt, not super hot with the bat, but plus defensive catchers. Out of those 3 options, what are you feeling? 1, 2, all 3? What do you think?
It's really tough because obviously Blake Hunt, friend of the program, and tied in with that, we know the catching situation of, well, we don't know about what the Rays are going to do with Mike Zunino, but Mejia and Bethancourt, and I guess Renee Pinto, you're looking at, I think it's fair to say, more offensively minded catchers. So really having that true defensive stalwart in the backdrop could be helpful. Jose Lopez, I mean, the thing with that is we talk about it all the time. Dime a dozen with relievers. They can, they don't have to add Jose Lopez. They don't have to protect him. They can find somebody else to slip in and fill whatever role or need they want from that. Basabe, that's who I would target and make a priority as an absolute add. And quite frankly, I might have spoken too soon. I mean, again, if we're only capping it at 4 players, 5 players, I almost think you have to find a way to get Basabe into the mix, into the fold, because of everything that you mentioned. Fast riser, and he could be a guy that that hit tool. It's rare these days. I don't care about the power. I think that the Rays are going to be able to find that at another juncture. I don't think they're going to find that internally necessarily. That's something that they're going to have to go into free agency or the trade market to find that power, and the power that they want immediately too. They don't want to wait for it to develop. But we've look at what guys like Harold Ramirez, what he did this year. I see Basabe kind of in a mold like that, except perhaps more athletic and dynamic. And again, I know it's so funny and interesting that I guess we say the same names over and over. We say Xavier Edwards, we say Greg Jones. I mean, they really don't hold a candle to the production that Basabe has put forth. And he's younger, might I add.
He's younger. I know he only got a taste of Double-A this year, but it's really impressive
50,
when you see
55 games, what he put up in those 50 plus games. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So far, just as a recap, we protected Curtis Mead, Tash Bradley, Colby White, Brett Wisely, Grant Witherspoon, and Ulises Basabe. That is 6 players.
Okay. I you know what? I'm going to use my co-GM powers and say that we have to add Basabe and remove a combination of either Witherspoon or Wisely.
I'll give you one better.
Okay.
What about if we don't pick between either one and just add all 6 and drop 6 from the roster? Because we've already dropped JT Chagua, we dropped Calvin Fauché, we dropped Jimmy Yacobonis, we dropped Bly Madris, we dropped Luke Raley. So we need one more, and this one's easy for me. Do you know the name I'm thinking about to drop?
His first name starts with an R and his last name starts with a Q.
Roman Quinn, it's been nice. Thank you so much. Maybe see you later one day, but yeah, you gone.
I like it. So we have, again, that's why you have you have sometimes you've got one guy making all the decisions, but I like this co-GM model between us where we're bouncing ideas and ping ponging things off each other.
I think it's good. Yeah.
We've decided that we're adding 6 Rule 5 eligible prospects. The 40
6,
man.
yeah.
Okay.
6, and it could be up to 7 or 8. Maybe the Rays decide on only doing 3. Who knows? But there are names there. I would, if I could have my cake and eat it too, I would add Blake Hunt. Like I told you, Heriberto Hernandez is also an interesting one. But there's not a lot of guys who you would be able to drop. I know people are going to point fingers at, oh, well, could you drop Yarbrough or Fleming or Poche? But I don't think they will.
And I know we're going a little bit long here, but just for poops and gigs,
give it to me.
Say the high, we've been overruled here.
Yeah.
And we can only add 3 players. All this discussion that we've had, 3 players. We know we have Curtis Mead. We know we have Taj Bradley. We have spot. We have room for 1 more. Is it Colby White, like we've gone in order? Or is it somebody else? Is it Basabe? Is it, any of the other guys that we should have added to the list?
I would have to go with who is the player that has the highest likelihood that another team could see him being a contributor right away for that team.
Yes,
right away.
That is also a fact. But let me also, again, everything is on the table as far as teams thinking and trying to come up with that next frontier, that next wave, that next inefficiency, if you will. There could be a team out there that has absolutely nothing to play for, totally in rebuilding mode, and they're just trying to acquire prospects with no intention to play said player. Or
so just IL them the whole year?
Perhaps, I don't know, or
I don't know. That's too conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
But I see what you mean. But in that case, that's the standard I would be. I would utilize is who can help another team right away, and it's not Brett Wisely, it's not Ulises Basabe, and it's not Colby White because of the injury. It's Grant Witherspoon. He could give you some pop, man, from the left-hand side and provide you good defense. He could be a 4th outfielder, 5th outfielder for a team that needs it. So if you go with that standard, I would protect Grant Witherspoon before everybody else.
That's fair. That's very fair. Let me just ask this. Do you think by the end of 2023, Ulises Basabe makes his major league debut?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they're going to let him cook a little bit.
Do you think that he would be capable of making his major league debut?
If he keeps going like he's going, yeah, I think he would. Yeah, I think he would. But now a lot of good lists here. If you don't agree with our picks, okay, drop yours on the comment box on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, please, to make sure that we reach as many Rays fans that do not know of Locked On Rays as of yet, so we can reach out to them. But this has been fun, man. This is this type of conversation, and this is going to be a never-ending topic because we really like this stuff, and it's always a really good topic to dive into.
And I could be totally wrong and off base here, and who would have thought that in 2022 going into 2023 that Xavier Edwards and or Greg Jones would not be part of the equation, at least in our own exercise. But I really don't know how they find their way onto the 40-man / active roster, unless the intention is, all right, we're going to bulk add these guys and package them in a trade with another team. I just don't.
Or you're talking, a Jonathan Aranda, Vidal Brujan, Taylor Walls, ship them off in a trade. Oh, we have 3 extra spots. Come in, Xavier Edwards. Come in, Greg Jones.
But that's the issue. I don't think they're major league ready. Like, as much as we, crap on Vidal Brujan sometimes and Taylor Walls and not really Jonathan Aranda, although his defense, but I don't think Edwards nor Greg Jones could produce or even, I don't want to say remotely ready, but I would rather have what we have right now than trying out Xavier Edwards and Greg Jones. I don't think that would go.
The numbers are the numbers, man. I gave you the comp for what Taylor Walls did in AAA and what Xavier Edwards did in AAA. Taylor Walls looks like Bryce Harper next to a replacement level player.
Yeah.
And we know what Taylor Walls did against MLB pitching. How could we expect Xavier Edwards to do better than that when he couldn't do it at AAA like Taylor Walls did? So in my book, it's kind of an easy choice for me to not protect Xavier Edwards. Because I know other teams, maybe the Angels could pick him up because they're just looking for defense. I get it, but I'm willing to just let that be a possibility.
And conspiracy theory, maybe some of their ineptitude as far as the overall numbers go, could it deal with them just like flip side pitchers of, hey, they're trying to work on a particular angle, or they're focusing on one thing in particular, or they've just stagnated and they believe that they should be moved on and moved up, and they're not really giving it their all, which probably speaks to a character and makeup question as well. But sometimes you don't realize your potential because you're not in a place that you think you should be. That you should be somewhere else. And you do see that on occasion where a guy is, you look at his AAA numbers and it's like, how's this guy ever going to shake it at the big league level? And they end up, being much better than you would have expected. So, and I don't know about all that. All I can go off is the pure numbers, if you will, and the profiles of these types of players, which again, there's probably going to have to be a turning point for the Rays of, it's great to have these athletic up the middle types, but at some point you need some pop too. You need some boppers in the middle of the lineup. It's great you can play 4 positions and you're slick handed and you're super fast, but you need a little bit of a balance there as well. So I know we're running long here, but that's part of what makes this fun and
it won't be the last time we talk about this because this is going to be fun. And when the World Series ends, the 60-day IL deadline comes and then the Rule 5. So this is just a little taste of what's to come, people.
We won't be doing make-believe. The actual decisions will be made by the people that get paid to make those decisions. So
correct.
And we can dive into the reasoning behind that as well. So before we make this a 40-minute episode, we haven't had those in a while, we should thank you all for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now be sure to make your second listen the Locked On Today podcast, like our podcast that is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe and stay tuned for a special mailbag episode on Friday. That'll be fun.